I'm Kip Soteres. I'm the owner of Soteres Consulting with focus on internal communications and change communication. The biggest thing I see right now is increased specialization. The reality is that generic skill sets like just general project management or general communications, general IT, they're all getting commoditized, and those price points are coming down and they're getting valued less. And so what you are starting to see is increased niche specialization in these areas like IT implementations, employee engagement. HR is its own sort of discipline for project management and communication, separate from employee communications. Change communications is now its own sub-discipline under change management. And I think that's going to continue to be the case. And now you see people hanging a shingle, obviously, around things like diversity and inclusion. That's been one that's been with us for a while. But now even things like remote work and how to be a remote manager. So even that focused starts to define new markets and new opportunities, which really, I think, helps clients and consultants find good fits faster. An independent consultant can help organizations address change in a lot of ways. But for the purposes of this conversation, let's just talk about two things that often get missed, and that's at the very beginning and at the very end, because there tends to be a lot of focus on the merger, the acquisition itself. But to start with, usually there's an initial announcement, and that initial announcement is usually met with some degree of silence. Organizations are trained to think of silence as being good. So with that in mind, when you go to big change, the reality is that people only fight about what they care about. So silence usually either means that they really haven't heard it yet, or more likely that they've heard it and they don't believe it's really going to happen. So then on the other side of it, there's a lot of focus on launch. For project managers, communicators, they treat it like it's an external campaign, and nothing's more important to an external marketer than launch day, because it's your first and your biggest opportunity to win attention. Internal audiences are more like your family. They're not going to be blown away by what you say in the moment, or even if they are, they're going to take a wait and see attitude. And so sustained communication and how you stick with it over time has a much bigger impact than launch. So despite all these sort of dollars and impact and sort of videos or parties or whatever, balloons and things that people are leveraging for launch, what's most important is how your leaders and how your team is prepared to deal with employees resisting that launch on the other side of it. Post-merger integrations are some of the hardest things to manage well that most business people will ever encounter. There's, on top of all the business challenges, on top of making the finances work and coordinating the products and services and the staffing and all of those other things, it's just very messy emotionally. The people around you are going to be full of questions at best, doubts and skepticism and fears at worst. The amount of just even reaffirming what you've said before, clarifying as you go along, those sorts of things are just really important. And on top of that, so things that didn't matter so much before the merger, like, do you have strong internal communications within your organization? Do you have strong channels? Are your executives, do they have regular meetings where they can interface with their different functions across the organization and take that conversation down a level from the CEO? Are your managers accustomed to getting information a little bit in advance and accustomed to delivering that, not just as a package of content, but with a tone of confidence and comfort and openness? Are they trained to send feedback back up? So lots of consultancies will talk about the importance of getting feedback. They tend to go straight to electronic and sending out surveys. Your manager is right there interfacing with employees on a daily basis. If you give them a form and say, work this into your team meeting and get it back to us, you're going to get such a richer response.